You may know Wsk Promotion from the world of single-seater car racing, but the story begins much earlier than that. It was in 2006 that Wsk held its first ever International Karting Championship, which was won by the late great Jules Bianchi. From these beginnings, the Italian-based company has become world-renowned in motorsport, promoting international karting series such as the FIA European and World Championships in North America, Africa, the Middle East, and of course all across the European continent. World-famous circuits from Castelletto to Kristianstad, from Portimao to Piafai, from Adria to Alhama, from La Conca to Lonato and Le Mans. In 2014, Wsk Promotion was selected by the Automobile Club of Italy to promote the then all-new Formula 4 Championship, which quickly established itself as the world's #1 junior series. The first title won by Lance Stroll, who made his F1 debut just 3 years later. At the end of 2018, Wsk Promotion was selected by the Automobile Club of Italy, together with the FIA, to launch the all-new Formula 3 series, the FIA Formula 3 Regional Championship of Europe. The inaugural title won by Denmark's Frederik Vesti, who picked up 25 Formula 1 Super License points and a junior contract with Mercedes F1 not long afterwards. Over the years, the drivers who have competed with us in Wsk events are household names, such as multiple Wsk Euro Series karting champion Max Verstappen, his 2020 Red Bull F1 teammate Alex Albon, Esteban Ocon, Antonio Giovinazzi, Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, and Charles Leclerc, whose younger brother Arthur finished as vice champion in the 2020 Formula Regional Championship. The relatively recent expansion into car racing does not mean that karting is neglected. Far from it. Despite a coronavirus-interrupted world, to begin 2021, Wsk Promotion has already successfully hosted the Wsk Champions Cup at Adria, and also the 4-round Wsk Supermasters Series, which, despite travel restrictions still in place around much of the world, still managed to attract more than 300 drivers at 3 of the 4 events. The Supermasters Series dates back to 2010, and this year saw 4 new champions crowned. Moraine Kramers winning the KZ2 shifter kart category for Birol Art. Brazil's Rafa Kamara won OK for Kart Republic. Emirati Rashid Aldeheri won the junior category for Paralin Motorsport, whilst René Lammers, son of the 1988 Le Mans 24-hour winner Jan Lammers, won 60 Mini for Team Baby Race. The third championship is the Wsk Euro Series, which runs concurrently with the Italian F4 Championship. The first round being held at the Lonato circuit in the north of Italy, which saw the first round wins going to, again, Kramers in KZ2 and Aldeheri in juniors, whilst England's Red Bull junior Arvid Lindblad won in OK, and Jindřich Peschel from the Czech Republic won 60 Mini. The second round of the Euro Series to be held at Adria, with the series to be decided at the foot of the active volcano that is Mount Vesuvius, the super-fast Sarno circuit on the outskirts of Naples. Now in its 16th season of competition, Wsk is truly a global racing system. As has become tradition, the international karting season got underway with the running of the Wsk Champions Cup at the circuit of Adria in northern Italy. The event was actually delayed by a few weeks from its originally planned date of the last weekend in January due to the problems related to travel in the era of COVID-19. And the decision to wait proved to be a blessing in disguise, with the entry exceeding all expectations. Over 330 drivers from 51 different countries. Drivers arriving in Adria were greeted by sunny winter days at the end of the Northern European winter, with temperatures around 10 degrees and a dry track throughout the weekend. A weekend that saw all 4 main international categories on track: Mini, OK Junior, OK and KZ2. In 60 Mini, there are numerous new faces that appear for the first time in a WSK race. But experience is a factor that makes the difference, as René Lammers and Yannick Shurovsky demonstrated to finish on top after the qualifying heats. The mini final was remarkably slightly less hectic than usual. In the same way as they did in the pre-final, René Lammers and Emanuele Olivieri decided not to fight with each other for the first few laps of the race, allowing the two to break away from the rest of the group and go for the victory in the last stages of the final. The gap was never more than a tenth between the two, with Olivieri giving the impression of having something in reserve, whilst in fact it was perhaps Lammers who had something left for the last lap. A last lap which saw Olivieri's long-awaited attack turn out not to be enough. It was rejected by Lammers, who crossed the line to finish first, as his father Jan watched on from pit lane. Experience was not a handicap for the newly promoted drivers in OK Junior, with the likes of Kin Nakamura Berta and Dmitry Matveev, 2 young talents who gave Rashid Al-Daheri a hard time all weekend. Rashid definitely the favourite. Harley Keeble and Lucas Flutzer also in contention. Flutzer was out by Sunday morning though. Starting from the front row in the pre-final, he was the victim of an unfortunate accident at the start which ended his weekend. So Rashid Al-Daheri from the United Arab Emirates, after winning the Champions Cup in 60 Mini last year, had faced the challenge of a new category. Now 12 months later, Al-Daheri has grown physically, has gained experience and has a technical package as good as any on the grid. And many of his opponents, albeit excellent drivers, some are still rookies fresh out of the 60 Mini category. Such as Matveev, superbly quick, but just seemingly needing more consistency over the weekend. And Popov, who showed tremendous speed, fighting for the win. Kin Nakamura Berta, the Japanese driver, took a fabulous second place after a great weekend, and Keeble on the podium in third in the final. Tony Kart's English driver never really had the chance to win the final after not getting away so well at the start. Al-Daheri was able to pull away from everyone in the final and then manage his tyres and control the pace. The kid from Abu Dhabi is not only quick but also an intelligent driver. He will be difficult to beat throughout the rest of the year. The OK category was again world-class, with professional drivers at the top of their game, including Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who won but also collected a DNF in the heats, leaving room for Brando Badoer, Arvid Lindblad, and above all, Rafael Camara. The OK final was a nail-biter, with Andrea Antonelli and Ugo Ugochukwu starting from the front row. Behind them, Joseph Turney and Camara, who had dominated the weekend until the pre-final. Lindblad and Badoer, also contenders throughout the heats, started from the 4th row. At the start, Antonelli safely took command of the situation, chased by a group who were at loggerheads right from the start. The loser in terms of positions was Ugochukwu. He lost his rhythm and loses several positions in the blink of an eye. The long distance of the final, 20 laps over 26 kilometres, instead allows Rafa Camara's speed to emerge. He works steadily to cut the gap to Antonelli from 1 second to be right on the Italian's exhaust. Antonelli, remember, who is coming back to racing after last year's injury. Camara took the lead 2 laps from the end and deservedly wins the race from Antonelli, with England's Arvid Lindblad managing to keep the Tony Kart of Tuukka Tappanen behind in 3rd. In KZ, the fight is incredibly tight. Among the shifter kart professionals, it is Adrien Renaudin Sodikart who sets the pace, taking pole in qualifying. In the final, it is Victor Gustafsson who leads away from pole, ahead of Francesco Celenta. For the Swede, who has just clicked with his Charles Leclerc kart, he dials in fastest lap after fastest lap, staying in P1. Cilenta struggling to keep up, and ultimately he's passed. Firstly by Renaudin, and then also by Juho Valtonen, who takes the third step of the podium. Victor, Adrian and Juho lock out the podium of the Wsk Champions Cup. So the 2021 Wsk Championship season, involving world-level karting and single-seater car racing, got underway at Adria, the first of 11 international karting events at some of the finest tracks in the world. After everything that 2020 threw at us, the nightmare is over, and 2021 is off to a fantastic start. After a difficult winter due to COVID restrictions and after drafting a health protocol, the Automobile Club of Italy and Wsk Promotion gave the green light to start season number 7 of Italian Formula 4. The championship started on the Adriatic coast of Italy, at the world-famous Misano MotoGP circuit named after the late Marco Simoncelli. With a summertime temperature of over 30 degrees on the first weekend of August, it was the Italian drivers on home soil in their own championship that set the pace. Pizzi on pole position for race 1 and Mini for race 2. This would in fact set the trend throughout the series. The two Italian talents, like virtually all in the F4 paddock, have a strong karting background. Both followed the same career path on the kart circuits of the world and became friends in the paddock. The first 3 races went to Mini, Rosso, another Italian driver, and then Pizzi respectively. The season then continued at the Imola Grand Prix track. Rosso was again in top form, but the number of contenders had increased. In race 1 it was the Romanian Filip Ugran who won, while in race 2 the Englishman and Red Bull junior Johnny Edgar home in front of his teammate Jack Crawford. The Italian Championship has always been raced by drivers and teams from abroad. There is no better place for these young drivers to compare themselves. The level of driving and teams is very high, and the track's many current Formula 1 venues are among the best in the world. By the end of the round at Imola, Pizzi was on top of the standings. The first round held outside the Italian territory was at the home of Red Bull in September. The championship arrived at one of the most beautiful tracks on the planet, the fabulous Red Bull Ring in Austria. Race 1 was won by the Paraguayan Josh Dirksen of Muka Motorsport, whilst race 2 went to the American Jack Crawford. Mini was able to smile when he stood on the top step of the podium after winning race 3 and gaining the series lead in the process. Leaving the Austrian track, the championship arrived at another iconic track with similar characteristics, breathtaking climbs and sudden descents. This is, of course, Mugello. The Tuscan circuit saw Pizzi's lack of consistency become evident, especially when, as was the case throughout the weekend, the track was wet. At the end of the weekend, the Roman's best finish was a 3rd place in race 3, not enough to maintain 2nd in the series. The new name on top at Mugello was that of the Brazilian Gabriele Bortoleto, fastest qualifier and race 2 winner. Rosso won the first race starting from pole and had moved to second overall in the series by the end of the weekend. In contrast to the flowing curves of Spielberg and Mugello, we return to the world-famous Monza Grand Prix circuit. Super fast with low downforce setups, it was all about braking and accelerating. Monza would prove to be a decisive point in the championship, opening the door again for Prix, who took two fantastic victories. The first over Mini, who was found guilty of committing an infringement on the last lap and penalised by 5 seconds. The Sicilian driver only classified 10th. Prix repeated the performance in race 2, winning ahead of Mini and Bortoleto. The third race saw controversy as Mini and Rosso made contact under brakes into the first chicane, and both were out. Deliquanti won ahead of Bortoleto and Leonardo Fornaroli. Pizzi's fourth place and the retirement of Mini moved him back into series contention. With only 2 rounds remaining, the challenge that started at the first race in Misano between Prix and Mini would take the series down to the wire. Back to Imola on November 20. The track named after Enzo and Dino Ferrari saw Mini start well by taking 2 pole positions. Prix meanwhile could do no better than 10th. The Sicilian driver mathematically made the championship his in race 3, where Prix drove superbly to come home 5th, but it was not enough. Gabriele Mini deservedly won the championship with 3 races to go. The embrace under the podium between the 2 contenders was proof that you can be rivals on track, but friends off it. The 2020 championship ended in Vallelunga. The weather was not the best, to say the least, many drivers already thinking about next season, but for others this was their time to carve out some glory. In race 1 it was the Englishman Ollie Beerman of US Racing. Race 2 was not contested due to the inclement conditions, whilst race 3 it was Johnny Edgar who took the final win of the season. Mini won the title on 284 points from Prix on 208, with Dino Beganovic third on 179. Our season ended, despite the uncertainties related to the pandemic, more successful than ever. A 7-year history continues as a fundamental step towards the ultimate top racing formula in which some of our past drivers are already present. A standout superstar in world karting, Gabriele Mini was actually the first Italian driver to win the Italian Championship. The Sicilian spoke to us about his championship winning year. I had to adjust quite quickly. I had just a few test days really, however there is always some area in which I need to learn and improve. I was not expecting to take pole position and win immediately. I thought I was hoping to be competitive as I had been in testing, but it was a result I was not expecting. It was a nice surprise for me, a great result, a really hard-fought win. Yes, it's a very competitive series, the most competitive F4 championship that there is. It is not easy to win. My rivals are only there for one reason, and that is to win also. So to take out the series makes it all the more valuable to me.
Campionato sono riuscito a essere abbastanza costante per portarlo a casa e quindi questo è stato un fattore che mi ha aiutato.
Well, there is no secret to going quick. I put my heart and soul into everything I did, and on most tracks I was able to come away with a good result. That was probably race 3 at Mugello, where I tried to make the best possible start and win. Prior to that, the first part of the season was not easy at all. But after that I perfected the starts also at Monza and Imola and was able to learn how to stay ahead and control the pace.
Sinceramente in questo momento avverto che sia
I am lucky to have professional management of my career, but also there is a responsibility to give my absolute best at all times.
bene, però diciamo, sono più contento di avere questa possibilità e devo cercare sempre di dare il massimo. Sinceramente
I have no idea really. I would like to be in a higher category such as Formula 2 or even Formula 1, but I know that is very difficult. So for the moment I just give it everything day by day, race by race, and we'll see where I end up.
per gara
The Italian F4 Championship, powered by Abarth, is undoubtedly the most competitive junior motor racing series in the world. Since its inception in 2014, the series has consistently attracted the best drivers, the best teams, racing at the best circuits, not only in Italy, but across Europe, with spectacular racing from grids of more than 30 and even 40 cars. So what actually is Formula 4? As the title suggests, the logical step between Formulas 3, 2 and ultimately Formula 1. A scaled-down version of a Grand Prix car, a carbon chassis built by Tartus, just a stone's throw from the Monza circuit, powered by a 1.4-litre turbocharged Abarth engine derived from the Fiat Abarth 500 road car. Tuned by Autotecnica to develop just over 160 horsepower, a figure mandated by the FIA. Tyres provided by Pirelli complete a trio of Italian suppliers, which helps to underline the fact that Italy certainly is one of the most powerful and significant motoring nations in the world. Don't be fooled by the size and restricted power though. At circuits such as Monza and Imola, the top speed is over 240 km an hour. Even more impressive when you remember that some of the drivers on our grid are just 15 years of age. Since the very beginning, the Italian F4 Championship has been organised and promoted to a world-class level by Wsk Promotion, together with the Automobile Club of Italy. Initially just on Italian circuits, which are of course some of the most famous in the world, but in recent years the championship has ventured outside of the host nation for away races at Grand Prix circuits such as the Hungaroring in Budapest, Paul Ricard in France, the fabulous Red Bull Ring in Austria, which along with Italian circuits of Mugello, Imola and Monza means that the series races on no less than 6 current Formula 1 Grand Prix circuits. The inaugural champion was Canadian Lance Stroll, who took the 2014 title. Only 3 years later, and he would make his Formula 1 debut for Williams and claimed a Grand Prix podium not long after that. Lando Norris and Mick Schumacher, both also former competitors in the Italian F4 series before racing in Formula 1, whilst countless other drivers have gone on to make a professional career in sports cars, touring cars and GT racing as well. Ironically, the reigning champion Gabriele Mini was the first Italian driver ever to win his national title, which had been dominated previously by internationals from as far afield as Brazil, Norway, New Zealand and Argentina. Mini won the 2020 series for the Prema Power team, who are once again back with a 5-car attack in what promises to be another sensationally competitive series. Fierce competition expected from Van Amersfoort Racing and Genza Motorsport, both teams having previously won the driver's title, along with cars from AKM Motorsport, R-Race GP, Cram Competition, Muka Motorsport and US Racing from Germany, along with DR Formula, Iron Lynx, AS Motorsport and BVM Racing, who took a memorable race win at Monza last season. 38 cars on the grid for the first round of the series at Paul Ricard in France, as we race across the tracks of Italy and indeed Europe before crowning our 8th series champion. That's at Monza on the last weekend of October.
Ciao.